In a ceremony for Rye just a few months after his accident, Sergeant Christopher Smith took the field at Sky Sox Stadium. He was being honored for his heroism, but Smith told Fox 21 he was just doing his job.
We just do it. We do it exactly what we knew how to do, and we reacted to it, and we thank God that he's still here today.
Rye remembers that humility.
He wouldn't take really any accolades, and he wouldn't really allow us to call him a hero, but we knew he was. We knew he was a hero.
Rye was left unconscious when fireworks exploded in his face. A Sky Sox intern was the first to rush to the scene.
He froze up, and he told me later, he was crying. He goes, I couldn't go on. I'd never seen anything like that. So it was a tough scene.
But thanks to their Army training, Smith, along with Sergeant Mike Cordosi, were able to keep him alive until paramedics arrived.
They didn't freeze up.
Rye gets emotional at the thought that if it were any other day, those soldiers may not have been there.
I believe strongly in God, and not in chance, and not in happenstance. And we had 73 games that year. Only one was Fort Carson Appreciation Day.
Rye says he was looking forward to Smith's return from Iraq. He was planning a barbecue for the soldiers.
I knew him as Sergeant Christopher Smith, but to have Chris Smith hanging around would have been great, because that's the man inside the soldier that it will not have a chance to get to know now.
But although he couldn't get to know Smith better, he will never forget him.
Sergeant Smith was directly responsible for saving my life, making sure my wife still had a husband and my children still had their dad. What a good guy.
For Megan Stotts, the trip to Disneyland is bittersweet, flying out exactly 2 years after her husband David was killed in Iraq.
He'd probably rather us be nowhere else today on the anniversary of his death than doing something exciting and fun. So it's a blessing.
Daughter Katie has been there once before and remembers her favorite part.
When we did this 3D thing, Honey, I Shrunk the Audience.
For the first time, probably all year, we get to see pure joy in their faces.
The fun began even before landing in California. Waiting for the plane, the kids hung out with Socks the Fox, got their faces painted, and sang some karaoke.
He has smiled more in the last hour and a half we've been here than he has smiled in months.
Christina Ezel says the trip is all about her 2-year-old son Tristan, who lost his dad in April.
He's too young to understand the full scope of what's happened, but children understand, fun and happiness and Mickey Mouse, so hopefully this will be really good for him.
As they boarded the plane, they made good on David's plan. He wanted to take the family to Disneyland when he returned home from war.
It's kind of, in a way, fulfilling what we wanted to do, together, and in a way he's here, in spirit.
Laura Forbes, Fox 21 News. The family had planned to use part of the loan to go home to Michigan for the first time in more than 3 years. Their 3 children were especially looking forward to the trip, but after being scammed, they didn't see any way they could afford it. With the recession making it tough to get credit, Staff Sergeant John McLaren thought an advance fee for a loan might be necessary.
Loan companies are really tightening down the screws, and if they want 3 months up front, I could almost believe it. And unfortunately, I did believe it.
He paid $1,100 for a $50,000 loan from Stansfield Solutions. When it never came, his wife Sherry contacted Fox 21 News.
I just wanted to make sure that it got out to everybody that we could possibly reach, just to do your research. I mean, we researched it, but we didn't research it, obviously, to the extent.
At the time, they were resigned to the fact that that mistake would mean they wouldn't be going home after all.
I've been through 3 tours in Iraq and stuff, and we've managed to make it through all of that. We'll make it through it.
But an anonymous donor saw the story and gave them $2,000, almost twice what they lost in the scam.
We never thought that something like this was going to happen when we contacted you.
With what I do in the military, and as long as I've been in, this is something I've only heard of on the news.
We haven't been home in a very long time, and I'm looking forward to going home.
The McLarens are leaving for Michigan on Saturday and returning January 2nd. Laura Forbes, Fox 21 News.